The runner, second clear. First forward, and ready clear.
These guys.
Clear the track for our last corner. Second clear. Ready track, skeleton track, skeleton track. It is now 5 minutes to start, 5 minutes to start. And a reminder about the sun shift that athletes are closed for 6, 12, 15, and
Welcome back to Lillehammer in Norway for the final time this weekend, the first of 2 weeks of racing on the 94 Winter Olympic track that will round out the World Cup season for bobsleigh and skeleton. Well, This afternoon is the time for the big bangers, for the four-man competition. It's the 6th World Cup of the season, and it also counts for the European Championship. And if you thought it was entertaining and exciting getting the two-man sleds down, and it was, then it's going to be even closer in the four-man. Short start, got to get all four men loaded before you run down into corner one, and that is not going to be easy here. No pressure at all in corner 1 or 2, but very easy to skid off them. Corner 3, 90-degree right-hander, and then through 4 and 5 again. So easy to give away speed here that you'll never recapture. 180-degree corner 6, the Omega curve, leads you down into the labyrinth. Corners 7, 8 and 9, and again they look straightforward but so easy to give away speed before 10 and 11, the two left hands that lead you into corner 12. Exit here is critical for 13, one of the key corners. Long run down into 14 and then 15, two pressure corner, hold the sled up and into corner 16 across the line right there. It's fast, the ice is hard, these sleds are going to be motoring at the bottom of the track. The two men were doing over 80 miles an hour. This is one of the quicker sled tracks in the business. So Francesco Friedrich is our points leader in the two-man and in the four-man. Won in the two-man yesterday, going away from rival Johannes Lochner, and he is last year's winner. Hansi there was the silver medalist on the track here last year. Great Britain's Brad Hall, oh, there he is. He was the bronze medalist. Now, here's the winner of the last race in four-man in St. Moritz, his first ever gold medal in St. Moritz, and a second win of what has been a stellar season so far for the Brit. Patrick Baumgartner, best result so far, a 4th place finish in Winterberg. 5th equal here last year, Patrick Baumgartner. So this is a track where he might be expected to do well. Now, some of the more experienced drivers have got very little knowledge of the track because it hasn't been a World Cup track for years. Some of the younger drivers who've come up through Europe Cup may well have as many as half a dozen plus races on this track in their career. Some of them will have up to 8 four-man races on this track, whether they were here last year or not. Now, 21 sleds in our start list, led off by Pat Norton of Canada, Sun Kai-chi and Roman Heinrich of France. Then we get into our top 10 seeds, and we have 21 sleds going in. The fastest 20 go through. First sled on ice, Pat Norton, Mike Evelyn, Keaton Bruggeling and Jacques Murray-Lawrence for Canada. 9th four-man World Cup start for Pat Norton. Most experienced man on the sled, Mike Evelyn. 16 starts for him, 15 for Jacques Murray-Lawrence. And Keaton Bruggeling, the new boy this season. 17th place in the two-man, not bad at all for Pat Norton, his first time here. Little skid down there from 4 to 5. That's not uncommon. Out of corner 6, bright sunny day, so the track will be fast, and you know for sure that track records will be challenged. Decent looking run so far. Out of corner 13, nice and smooth. The big weight of the four-man means it doesn't fluctuate quite so much in the corner as the two-man did. And words, it's a thing. 50.63. So the track record 49.7, so we're 1.11 away, in fact, from the track record. And off a 5:09 start. 4:97 is the start record. Francesco Friedrich and his crew set both records in the race last year. 28th of January, we were here last year. Cool. And that's driving it onto 14. There's a lot of sleds to get down, some pretty tight transitions, and they are motoring a lot faster than they were in the early 90s when the sled was designed and when the track was designed and opened. Next up for China, 16th World Cup race for Sun Kai-chi, the driver, finished 10th here last year. Ding Song, Yi Jae-long and An Tai back on Sun's sled, having raced last time out in St-Moritz on Lee's sled. He's the new boy, the brakeman, only his 5th World Cup. Well, let's see what they can produce at the start. 2 13th place finishes, their best results of this season. They were 10th here last year, a 5:02 getaway, 700s quicker than the Canadians. So immediately in the lead over Pat Norton. Long skid from 4 to 5, 2 lefts, then down into corner 6. It's big, more than 180 degree, almost nearly 280, nearly 200 degree corner rather. (10-11) and into corner 12, and the exit here into 13 is absolutely key for speed for the rest of the corner, rest of the track as well. A little late off 13, second best speed, 1300s up, gaps coming down, but he has the lead at the line, and in fact found a little more at the bottom, 50.47. So leads Pat Norton by 1600ths of a second, which means at the very least that he is guaranteed a second heat, but after 10th place last year, he won't want to be hanging around at the bottom of the top 20. However, 13 to 20 is where he has spent this season. Latvian-built BTCs. Let's see how quickly they have to get in compared to the last time we saw the 4 men in action in St-Moritz. It's a long run down the mountain. Next up for France, 29th World Cup start as a driver after 20 as a brakeman for Romain Heinrich. He's got Léon Lefebvre and Dorian Hauteville, 2 of the old stagers from his previous career with France, and new boy, sprinter from Grenoble, Niels Blairon at 3, the 22-year-old in his 2nd 4-man World Cup, only his 4th bobsleigh race. Romain Heinrich, a 3-time Olympian, 4-time World Championship competitor as a brakeman and a driver. Made his return in St-Moritz, finished in 14th place. Did race here in Europe Cup in January of this year and back in 2019 and 2022, so he knows the track. 5:09 getaway. World Cup best results, 2 8th place finishes in Altenburg and Winterberg in the 4-man back in 2021. Just a little behind the 8 ball at the moment, start 5:09, same as Pat Norton. 1400s behind Sun Kai-chi of China. It's a new sled, it's not the one that he used to race. So rebuilding from the ground up when he retired, basically sold everything. And so having to create a new team. New equipment, and across the line, 3rd place, 2400s back. Slightly disappointed look on the face of Bruno Mijon. Well, this is the beginning of a long journey. This is not about Milano Cortina. That's not why he's come back. It's about where the games are going to be based in 2030. The Winter Games will be in Grenoble, and the sliding will be in his hometown, La Plaine. He now lives in Grenoble. Well, sideways in 12, very sideways into 13, and fell off 13, clattered the wall. And all of those little errors taking speed out of the sled. So 3rd at the moment, Romain Heinrich. And they will have to wait a long while to find out whether or not they get a second heat, because we now get into our top 10 seeds. They're in a random draw. First up is Patrick Baumgartner, the Italian's 43rd World Cup start. He was 5th equal here last year, tied with Mickey Vogt of Switzerland. Finished 9th in the 2-man. And this experienced crew, Eric Fantattini, Rob Masia and Lorenzo Bellotti. Bellotti in his 37th 4-man World Cup start, almost as many as his driver. Youth Olympic champion. Patrick Baumgartner, 5:07 to get away. He's our first youth Olympic champion, and clearly hoping to go to Italy and become an Olympic champion again. That is going to be a tough ask, but at the moment, ahead of Sun Kai-chi, creeping into the lead. Started 500 slower than the Japanese, but he has been driving really nicely this year. The starts are coming up, everything is starting to flow well as we are inside a year from the opening ceremony for Milano Cortina Games. 1:36.2, good speed at the bottom, and a lead of 23 hundredths. Little ripple of applause from Simone Battazzo. Of course, Simone knows all about the home games. He competed in Cesana in the Torino Games in 2006. What a fun track Cesana was. Unfortunately now, although it's still there, hasn't been used in years. Not sure they're even freezing the ice house anymore. Again, out of 12, sideways into 13. Sled is turning itself to the right. The corner is a sharp left. It's quite a hard left 90-degree corner. Corner 13, it's not that long at these speeds. So the French weighing themselves and their sled. The Italians will do that next. And our fifth starters from Latvia. 19th World Cup start in four-man for Jēkabs Kalenda. Finished in 11th place here last year. Lauris Kaufmanis celebrates his 30th four-man start. A 13th for Davis Kaufmanis at the back, his brother. And Matis Miknis, his 89th career four-man race, his 61st in the World Cup. 5:01. Good, strong start again from the Latvians. There was a time when nobody outstarted Latvia, especially in four-man. They're getting back towards that. They start 5:01. I think we're going to see 490s from the Germans. Are we going to get a new start record? We had the start record tied yesterday in the mono. They didn't get close in the two-man. I think we might be looking at track records as well. Not from the Latvians. Slipping back. Behind Baumgartner, behind Sun, behind Pat Norton. 4th out of 5. Jēkabs Kalenda. Not keeping the speed alive. Best result of the season, 6th place in Altenburg. That's his World Cup personal best on any track. But look at the way the sled is rocking and rolling, and it's been... He's steering the front, the back is steering itself, and it is very much at odds with what the driver is asking. And whether he's asking the wrong questions in the wrong places or not, he and the coaches will be able to define and have to try and tidy that up for the second heat. Patrick Baumgartner, the leader after the first 5. Timo Rona starting his 13th four-man World Cup start. He's had 8 Europe Cup four-man races here alone. That means 8 in two-man as well. Plenty of knowledge of this track. First race of the season in St-Moritz. 6th place finish in the four-man, his career high. Dominik Schlepfer, Tim Allen on the sled at 3, and Mathieu Hersberger as the Swiss continue to shuffle bodies around between the teams, trying to find their best combination of which bodies ride well in the sleds together. You can't necessarily just shove the 3 fastest guys in behind your fastest driver. They may not fit well. Skidding around again, back of the sled, doing a lot of the driving. The articulation is a long way forward, and there's a lot of weight behind it. Whoa! It's like a pre-war V16 BRM, or beg your pardon, auto unit, with all the engine waving around behind the driver. 50.39. 1500s behind Patrick Baumgartner. We saw a few of the two-man sleds in the women's competition and in two-man yesterday, where the back was doing a lot of the decision-making for the driver. And here, all that weight, the front axle is a long way forward from the mass of the sled, because the mass is predominantly human bodies, and they're a long way back. There's a lot of tail on this dog. Once it starts wagging, it takes over. Look at that. Touching both sides of the track on the wrong direction, going down into 13. That's really burying your speed. So 10, 11, 12, one of the keys. The labyrinth is key to speed as well. Adam Amor next up, 12th World Cup start for him. He's got Nick Stadelman, Benedikt Hertel and Issam Amor behind. Stadelman's 5th World Cup, Benny Hertel's 11th in the four-man, and Issam's 9th. Finished in 8th place here last year, Adam Amor. Just off the podium in the two-man yesterday, 5:04, another strong getaway. But still in the 5s, nobody into the 4s yet. Little tap, 4 to 5. And corner 6 sets you up for the labyrinth. So it's the exit of 6 that defines, whoa, how high and late you are in 7 and how wrong you are in 9, and 10 and 11 come at you quickly together. And then it's sideways into 12, so he's going to be late off, sideways into 13, bleeding off speed. The gap's not been out to 500s and is just 300ths of a second at the line. It is still 300ths of a second. It's a lot of sled to get down this track. Did you spot, by the way, the smiling face of Christoph Langen just poking around the side of the hoarding there, watching the runs? He knows this track. He knows how hard it is. This is not a straightforward proposition. Do you know what? The speed of the four-man now, it's not a straightforward proposition getting them down any track, because most of these tracks were designed in the 60s and the 70s. This is one of the more recent, designed for the 94 games. But the four-man, there's a lot of sled, not much space in which to negotiate. Smile on his face from Adam Amor. Frank Del Duca has Carsten Vissering, Charlie Folker and Manio Mitchell behind him. Manio was in the two-man yesterday. They finished in 6th place. Last year, Frank, 13th position. Made his driving debut in Winterberg in January 2022. His 18th World Cup start as a driver, his 30th in total today in four-man. 498. First into the 4s. John Morgan will be pleased to see that as a proud American bobsledder. Start fast and you have a great chance. Nice out of 6, nicely into the labyrinth as well. Oh, huge skid down to 9 though. 8 has been a bit of a bugbear all week. 2/10 back, 4th best speed for Frank Del Duca. And he's going to struggle to be ahead of Sun Kai-chi of China at the line. No. Well, 13th last year, that should safely see him into the top 10, and hopefully not right at the bottom of the 10 either on that run. But a 498 getaway. That's the news from the braking crew. Oh, just a little wriggle down there. And again, into the labyrinth. This is late off 8. Didn't hold the height late enough. And in 15, gets that first pressure as well. Coming in a bit sideways. Next up, our most recent winner in the four-man. 2 gold medals, a silver and a bronze. Out of the 5 races so far, the worst race was the opener in Altenburg. That was 5th place for Brad Hall, with Taylor Lawrence, Aaron Gulliver and Leon Greenwood on the sled. 26 World Cup medals for Brad Hall. This is his 56th four-man start. Gold in Winterberg, gold in Samaritz. Beating the Germans on home ice was one thing, but to have a win in Samaritz, which has habitually been his bogey track, he said, although he was the World Championship silver medalist there in 2023. 5:03 getaway. That's going to leave them a few hundred shy, I think, perhaps 600 or 700 shy of where we're going to see Lochner and Friedrich starting. Brad has been driving so nicely. 100th ahead of Adam Amor, who started 5:04. 200's up. Brad finds speed down the run. He's good at building that velocity. Nice out of 13. Little tap on the wall. See the spectators step back. And across the line, how far ahead? 900's up. Two-man bronze medalist yesterday, behind Friedrich and Lochner and ahead of Amor. He is ahead of Amor at the moment. .12, track record is 49.74. Was I being a bit hopeful that we might get there? Well, not too bad, 12 to 13. Came in on the wrong side, but at least the sled was heading towards the corner and not off into the boondocks. And on to 14. So, tied for 5th place last year with Patrick Baumgartner, Switzerland's Mickey Vogt. Greg Jones and Andy Haas both celebrating their 25th four-man World Cup starts today. And Amadou Ndiaye, his debut in the four-man. 2 previous four-man Europa Cup races. He was due to make his debut in Samaritz. That race didn't happen. Let's see what Mickey Vogt has got for us here. 5:01, nice strong start. Finished in 5th in the two-man yesterday. So he is getting back to fitness off the block, and his driving is right back. Ahead of Brad Hall, 2nd best speed, and a little better as well through the labyrinth. And that should help increase the advantage. There's the speed coming. Whoa, little late off 12. Touch sketchy into 13 maybe. Big first pressure in 15. And across the line, he's in the lead by 0.04 of a second. So Mickey Vogt leads Brad Hall and Adam Amor, with Patrick Baumgartner, Timo Rona and Sun Kai Chi, the remaining top 6. 10 down, 11 to go in the first of our 2 heats. Little late flop out of 12. Gets very sideways into 13. The exit was okay, but he had to haul the sled around as he got onto the take-on in 13. And that pulls the speed away. Getting those warm clothes on as fast as possible. Last year's silver medalist, Johannes Lochner's 65th World Cup start today. Silver in the two-man yesterday. Florian Bauer, Jörn Wenzel and Georg Fleischhauer. Jörn, the new boy, his 2nd World Cup start. Started the race in Altenburg. 43rd four-man race for Florian Bauer and 15th on the back for big Georg Fleischhauer. European silver medalist last year, Hansi. He has 4 European 4-man gold medals so far in his career. And a 4:97 start. A 10th away from the start record. The record might be safe. Little skid into 9. Out of 12 into 13. Yanked it round in 13. Looks like his sled was going sideways as well. 600s up. Only the 5th best speed. It's not going to be much of a lead at the line. It isn't much of a lead at the line. You don't have to have much to be the leader. 50.05. Is Friedrich going to go into the 49s? 97, that's the start time they're being told, 4.97. Actually, he was in the gutter and did have to yoik it round, but at least the sled was facing towards the corner. And then coming on to 14, got a little left, a little early onto 14, a little late rather. Hansi Lochner leads from Mickey Vogt and Brad Hall. That is your top 3 after our first 11 sleds. For Switzerland, Cedric Follador in his 22nd World Cup 4-man. 10th yesterday in the 2-man. He's got Nicola Mariani, Luca Rolli and Quentin Juillard alongside him on the block. Luca Rolli did the first leg of the 2-man yesterday. Quentin stepped in for the second, so glad to see that Luca is back to fighting fitness. 4th place in Samorit's last time out. World Cup best for Follador. I'm sure he would have loved a second 4-man race as well. .507, so a 10th shy of Lochner at the start. 8th best start. 6th best speed. Teammate Mickey Vogt is 2nd. Timo Rona is 6th. And he is up ahead of Rona at the moment. Not a bad looking drive at all from Cedric Follador. And across the line, just behind Timo Rona. 700ths of a second back. It's always the first thing you hear. The start time for the brakemen. There's not really been a comfortable 12-13 run so far, has there? 6-7 has been a bit of a handful as well. Lots of these sleds coming late and wrong into the labyrinth, and that just robs you of time as well. Let's see what Francesco Friedrich can do after yesterday's 2-man race. He said really got 6-7 wrong in the first heat, tidied it up a bit in the second. 93rd 4-man World Cup race, won the 2-man yesterday, won the 4-man last year. Yesterday, we didn't note it, but it was his 200th World Cup start in both disciplines, from which he's had 144 medals. 493 getaway. That 87 is just 600ths away. Maybe as the afternoon stays warm, that start area will free up even more. 500ths up over Johannes Lochner. 400ths of that from the start. Again, not good, 6-7. Oh, and a skid through 9. Neither he nor Lochner had tidy runs yesterday, but the FES sleds forgave them. Little late flop there as well, 12-13, only the 4th best speed. 700ths in it. He can't get away from Lochner. This is going to be as tight as the first run in the two-man. Not quite. It was 800ths in the two-man. It's a 10th in the four-man. 49.95. Track record 49.74. We are over 2/10 away from the track record. 500ths from the start record. 600ths from the start record. They may be safe, they may not. Tidy up a couple of corners there. He could find that speed. Can add a 13, gets that long drift. He's trying to bring the sled onto 14 on the driver's left. So Francesco Friedrich, last year's winner, has the lead from Johannes Lochner and Mickey Vogt, with Brad Hall in 4th, Adam Amor in 5th and Patrick Baumgartner in 6th. And next up is Mihai Tentea, 26th four-man World Cup race, finished 15th here last year. He's got Constantin Dinescu behind him in his 11th World Cup start, and it's a 14th for Mihai Pacianu and Georg Jordash, the other two brakemen. Tied for 11th in the two-man, with Georg Jordash behind him. In and down, neat tidy load, again from the Romanians, 5.12. Would love to see one day, just for devilment in training, how somebody like Mihai Pacianu would handle having Friedrich or Lochner's start behind him. Oh, nice looking drive up until that stage. Flop late off 12, late off 13. Late off 14 as well. And across the line, 8/10 back in 14th place. So behind Robin Heinrich. So Heinrich now knows for sure he will get a second heat. They will continue prepping for that. I'm sure they have anyway, and the coaches will be watching the times, listening to the track announcer. And now with one sled behind, we know at least the French will get a second run. Li Chunjian of China, 20th four-man World Cup race. Finished in 18th place last year in the four-man, 18th place yesterday in the two-man. He's got Wei Peng, Shi Yaolong and Wu Pei Lin behind him. This relatively new young crew. She just 18 years of age, has been on the back of his sled for every two-man race, as well as pushing in the four-mans. So this is his 12th career race. The only races he's done have been in the World Cup. 5.16 getaway. So 15th sled, that's the 15th start. So the slowest getaway so far. Little late off 6, late onto 7, skidding onto 9, sliding down to 10. Late flop out of 11. Sled is ahead of him. He's not steering early enough for the speed of the ice today. Across the line, a second back, 50.97. That means that Mihai Tentea now knows that he absolutely will get a second heat. can see the sled there, the back just driving it around. All of that weight pushing the sled sideways as the driver tries to change the line a little too late. The more aggressively you steer the front, the more the rear is inclined to carry on in a straight line. Francesco Friedrich, the leader, after 15. We have 6 to go. For Korea, Kim Jin-soo, 6th four-man World Cup race. Innsbruck, his best. 9th place finish. Chun Soo-yoon, Kim Sun-wook, and Lee Kyung-yu are the crew. They get away fast. It's a young and inexperienced crew. The driver in only his 6th race. 2 of the brakemen in their 5th, and another in his 4th four-man World Cup. Long skid, 4 to 5. Most sideways we've seen. He finished 8th in the 2-man. There's no question at all that Kim Jin-soo can really start a sled. And the 2-man responds with a little bit more alacrity than the 4-man. The 4-man is lazier in its response. There's a lot of weight to get it to follow your command. Some drivers prefer the 4-man, some prefer the 2. That's not a bad run though, 11th place. He's 100th behind Frank Del Duca in 10th. He's 500ths ahead of Pat Norton. He's 600ths ahead of Jacobs Calendar. That could be a top 10 day for Kim Jin-soo. And 7th fastest start at 5:03. Little too much of this going on. That was 4 to 5. This is 12 to 13. And out of 13, actually coming down maybe just a fraction early. And then all of that weight on the back, slapping the wall and flinging the back out again as he came down to 14. Taylor Austin for Canada. First time here for both our Canadian, in fact all our Canadian pilots apart from Cynthia Appiah. 14th World Cup start. He was 19th in the 2-man. He's got Mark Zanet, Johan Eskrik Parkinson and Cyrus Gray behind him. Cyrus was in the 2-man yesterday. 5:12 is the start. So 15th placed start. Let's see what he can do with the drive. Again, little offline coming into Labyrinth. Control is good, but is that at the expense of speed? Up to 14th place, 12th best speed. Looking run for Taylor Austin. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Pursed lips as they finally breathe again from Justin Cripps especially and Lyndon Rush. And okay, I know what the boys in the EVS are going to show us. That was close, Taylor Austin, that was close. And here is the reverse angle of that exit. They were nearly in free fall, weren't they? I was out of 12. They were late out of 10 and 11 into 12. Ooh. Got away with it. Luck or judgment? Well, I'll let him decide. Next up, some Union flags, how very lovely. For Adam Baird, he's joined by Jens Huller, Luca Williams and Ollie Butterworth, who was on the 2-man yesterday. 7th World Cup start for Adam Baird, and it brings him full circle here in Lillehammer. Made his debut last year, finished tied for 11th in the 2-man. Jens Huller in his 3rd four-man World Cup, Luca Williams in his 7th, and Ollie Butterworth in his 9th now, but his 4th with Bairdi. Get in, get down, tucked in. There's a lot of Ollie Butterworth. I said this in the two-man. He is effectively square. He's as wide as he is tall, and he's not short. It's a lot of man to get in the back of any sled. They started 5:09, that's very respectable. 12th fastest getaway. That was high. Keeps it tidy, but it's costing him speed. 11th best speed. See if he can drag himself back towards the top 12. Long slide. Down from 13 to 14. And that is robbing him of speed again. 17th at the line, 50.83. A couple of slight heart-in-the-mouth moments. They will definitely get a second heat. They're ahead of Li Chunjian of China. Adds with a moment or two to think and compose himself. So in they are. Look at the size of Ollie Butterworth as he goes by. Just look at the size of the man. You can see why they picked him up for rugby league. Absolutely massive unit. So they will go again, and we have 3 sleds to go. 19th in the start draw, Liechtenstein, with Martin Krantz, Mauro Buhler, Lawrence Lenher, his two-man brakeman, and David Schoffen. Didn't make the cut in the two-man. 5th World Cup race and his 1st World Cup on this track. Has raced here in Europe Cup previously. 15th place in Altenburg. 20th in the 1st race in St. Moritz. Didn't make the cut in the 2nd race in St. Moritz a couple of weeks later. 5:27 getaway. So 19th fastest start in the 19 sleds so far. And it's probably going to turn into a battle between Liechtenstein and Trinidad and Tobago for the final spot. Boris Van and Monaco should be ahead of both. Coulda, shouldas have been a bit of a part of the weekend. We had 2 crashes in the women's competition in the 1st heat. Krantz at the moment at the tail of the field behind Li Chunjian by 900ths. So Li Chunjian knows that he will get a 2nd heat for sure. Not a bad looking run from Martin Krantz. Still just 22. Lots and lots of time to gain that knowledge that brings the speed. Might be enough. I've only missed the cut once this season. Let's see with Boris Van. They missed the cut as well last time out in St. Moritz. He's got Cyril Ferry, Arthur Prévost and Steven Borges behind him. Borges part of the 4-man crew with Boris Van behind Rudy Rinaldi. The last time there was a Monaco 4-man 4 years ago. And Cyril and Arthur, both in their 4th 4-man World Cup, making their debut in the 1st of our St. Moritz races. Fourth 4-man World Cup then for Boris Van, driver for Monaco. In and down just before they get out of the drive lines into turn 1. It is a short start, tells you everything you need to know about what it was like 30 years ago on this track in the Olympic Games. 21 years now. 18th at the start, rather, already improving on that. It's a good-looking drive so far. Fonfin up to 14th place. Chasing Latvia's Jēkabs Kalender for 13th. Losing a little bit of speed, 12 to 13. Nice out of 14, out of 15, and across the line they've lost a couple more spots, 50.7, 17th place. 20 sleds down successfully. Martin Krantz in 20th place, one more sled to go. So where's the name of the sled come from? I shall have to find out, because actually the two-seat sled that he drove yesterday and that was used by Margot Bock this morning also has a name painted on it. I'm liking that. Let's get back to the habit of sleds having names. I haven't actually seen any with the name painted on the outside before. I know a couple have got nicknames. Spanky, the Belgian sled, and now their sled is called Ruby. Final sled on ice then from Trinidad and Tobago. Axel Brown joined by Tom Harris from One Rifles in the Army. Shaquille John and DeAndre John both making their fourth four-man World Cup starts. Tom Harris making his second. 22nd place in the two-man yesterday, didn't make it into the second heat. Is this going to be the charm? Hasn't made the cut this season in the first 3 races for a Caribbean four-man in 30 years. Little tap, 4 to 5. 20th best start, 5:17. It's that 10th of a second advantage over Liechtenstein that he must preserve all the way down. They outstarted Martin Krantz's crew. He's got to outdrive Krantz as well. 17th best speed. It looks good at the moment. Just had a bit of a wave coming into 13. 21st place. This is going to be very close. Is he in? No! Just out. Xaviera Williams watching there with Lee Johnson. Just misses the cut. It was looking good down to 10 and 11. And the bottom of the track got away from him just a fraction. Well, this little 12-13 transition. That's a little higher up. This is 12-13. Skidding in. And look at the way he had to haul the sled around the corner. If you don't steer then, you're just going into the roof and over. Getting closer and closer. The starts are getting better, and they will stay here another week along with everybody else and come back next week and try and do the same. For the meanwhile, though, the race is being led by last year's winner, the first four-man World Cup winner here in 20 years, Francesco Friedrich. Can he double up? After taking gold and the European Championship gold medal yesterday, he will look to do it again in the four-man. Yesterday he led by 700ths after the first heat, 800ths it was. Today it's a 10th. Mickey Vogt right in the mix, as is Brad Hall. Adam Amor will have to worry about Patrick Baumgartner. And then there is a step back to Rona, Follador, Sun, Del Duca and the rest. A very tightly packed field with a dead heat even for 14th place. And Axel Brown's Trinidad and Tobago crew will have to watch it from the sidelines, at least for today. You can join them. We'll be back with Sleds on Ice at 14:30 local, 13:30 Greenwich Mean Time, 08:30 Eastern, and that is in 40 minutes from now. We'll be back. Don't go away.